If this is your first time here, welcome to Aim High. And if this is not your first time here, then you already know what to do. Speaking of which, there are loads of people already in the chat, so I'll say hi to people. Hi, Maddie. Hi, Nihal's here. Animal Crossing is Bear is here. Catherine is here. Sagan is here. Guys, who's that? Oh, this is different. There's a different Maddie from before. Hey, so yes, welcome to Aim High. This one is going to be a science one about are prions worse than viruses? Catherine wants to ask something before we start. Yeah, Catherine, ask away, whatever's. So yeah, if this is your first time, then you can ask questions whenever you want. And there are we are a group of teachers who have put this together during lockdown to make loads of learning more fun, basically. So today I'm going to answer the question of are prions worse than viruses? And so let me just switch over to here. Ooh. But first, before we dive into that, does anyone know what this is? What is this? What is this a picture of? Speaking of prions and viruses, what is this? Anyone recognise it? Also, I know that Catherine wanted to ask me a question, so I'm just going to dip into the chat to see what it is that she wanted to ask. Oh wait, what's this? There we go. Catherine literally wanted to talk about the photos of the sun, which is literally exactly what this is. We're just Jeff's late and Adrian is saying, why am I not in the bath? Sorry, mate, I can't be in the bath when I'm live streaming. It's dangerous. It's dangerous to live stream in the bath. Everyone knows that. Anyway, yeah, this is one of the first ever high definition images of the sun. And yeah, these have come out very recently. Look at these incredible strands of material that kind of jump up from the surface and then plunge back down again. It's these big loops, these big arcs in the sun's material that when they get created, the sun throws off loads of charged particles. And where do those charged particles end up as they fly through space? This is something I've talked about on another live. So as the charged particles catapult their way towards us, where do they go? Who knows what happens to the charged particles being thrown off the sun by these huge arcs as they're thrown towards the Earth? Someone's saying it kind of looks like pasta bolognese. It does actually look like pasta bolognese, although there's some pretty long strands in there. Have you guys ever seen that video of that Italian guy who's just like eating spaghetti bolognese and he kind of loops it all up on his fork and then he just picks it up and he doesn't mind that there's like loads of strands hanging down. In his other hand, he just has a pair of scissors and he just chops it off and re-ravels and chops. Such an efficient mechanism. Phoebe's saying, am I late? Oh no, don't worry about it, Phoebe. We are yet to start about our prions worse than viruses. At the moment, we're just talking about what's this. And this is one of the first ever high definition images of the sun. HD image of the sun. So this is a super close up. Yeah, this is super close-up of the surface of the sun, and I was just asking people, what happens, so when these huge arcs from the surface of the sun rise up, and these things are many thousands of miles tall, in fact, I think it's many tens of thousands of miles. These arcs are absolutely huge. Like, if you took a car and you were trying to drive around one of these, then it would take you the best part of a few months. Anyway, when these arcs occur, they throw off loads of charged particles that get thrown out into space, and loads of them come hurtling towards the Earth. What happens to these charged particles? Do you guys know? Jeff is asking if anyone knows about North Korea claiming to have someone land on the sun. I heard about that as well. I don't know if that was just a joke made up by the internet, but there was certainly something going around about North Korea claiming to have landed someone on the sun. But they claim to have gone and returned all in the same day. um, which is pretty extreme. And yeah, so Botplow's taken is talking about the northern lights. So when these charged particles hit the Earth, they are deflected by the Earth's magnetic field, and the Earth's magnetic field deflects them around to the North Pole and the South Pole, and that's how you get the Northern Lights, which is something that we've talked about before in another one of the lives. Did you know, you might not know this, especially if you're new here, that you can watch back all of the past lives here on aimhigh.co. So you can see the ones where we've talked about things like the Northern Lights, and you can check out the one where I actually talked about politics for once, and I explained who runs this country. It's so cold today, isn't it? And Maddie's saying they disintegrate. So no, the particles wouldn't disintegrate. The particles would be deflected towards the North and South Pole, and that's how you get the Northern and Southern Lights. And so when people are trying to guess when the Northern and Southern Lights are going to occur, they look at the activity on the surface of the sun. And if the sun is particularly active and throwing off loads of these huge loops, then you're more likely to get the Northern and Southern Lights. Catherine's saying I should run the country. I don't want to run the country. Although I was having a conversation the other day about how that is quite good ancient wisdom, is that people who don't want to run things should be made to run things. And so that's what I kind of think, getting people to run the country, you should just get some like Oxford professor, someone who literally the last thing they want is to run the UK, but they're made to do it, and I bet they'd do a great job of it. Anyway, so let's scroll down here to this nice cow to talk more about this question. Are prions worse than viruses? So firstly, who knows what a prion is? I want to get give me a show of hands. Give me yes for knowing what it is, no for not knowing what it is. I want to get an idea of how much people know what prions are before I decide whether to kind of go into detail about how they work or talk about what they are first. Phoebe's asking if they can't even go near enough to land on the sun, right? So Phoebe, the sun is just a big ball of gas, right? So even it's incredibly hot, and so you can't. There are no materials that we can get close enough to it that wouldn't just be destroyed by the heat of the sun. But if you could create a spaceship that was heat resistant enough to be able to get close to the sun, it wouldn't be able to land on it either because it's not a solid surface, so it just sink down and down and down into it, being sucked into the middle by the gravitational force, and it'd be a bit of a nightmare, to be honest, landing on the sun. Bit of a nightmare. Oh, the real Joe is a Maddie. There's so many Maddies. Okay, so generally people don't seem to know what prions are, but it's some kind of like protein disease. Brilliant. Right, okay, so we'll talk about what it is first. So, has anyone ever heard of this disease, mad cow disease? And does anyone know what happens? And I searched up some pictures of mad cow disease, and I was like, no, these are pretty grim. So instead, I'll just get a nice picture of a cow eating some grass. And that'll do. And that'll be enough. And then we'll just talk about it. So Miz is saying that she was very scared of mad cow disease. And get out of the freezer. Great username. Is saying it's saying hard heard of it but can't remember. No. Get out of the freezer. Wait, where do they go? Oh, the cows go mad. Yeah, exactly. So what happens is it's a disease that starts to destroy the cow's nervous system and their spine and their brain, so that they seem to go completely mad. And farmers identified it because, the thing about cows is that they're actually like quite intelligent, quite social animals. Did you know that if you if you go to a milking farm where the cows are being milked, they have a very, very distinct order. The cows always arrive in the same order, one after the other, because they know the social structure. They all know which cows rank at the top, and those are the ones that go first, and then they all go very much in the right order. And so if you are running a dairy farm, you know that one of your cows is really ill because it will arrive in the queue of cows coming into the milking parlour. It will arrive much later than it normally does, because it's ill, so it's not trying to keep up its social position so much. But cows have a very distinct social structure, which is kind of mad. But anyway, so mad cow disease is when these cows stop behaving as they normally would and start to kind of be. It's quite distressing because it does seem like total madness. They start kind of like rubbing themselves on things and like bashing themselves against stuff and kind of like staggering around the field, and it's really sad to see. And what's happening is their brain is literally being destroyed from the inside, and lots of holes are starting to appear in it, and those holes get replaced with kind of protein material that is not like working brain matter, and that spreads down their spinal cord as well. And it's all caused by this tiny little thing called a prion. So prions are this thing that cause cows to go mad. Now, what do you think is... so let's get an idea of the size of this. What do you think is bigger, a prion or a virus? What do you guys reckon? While you answer that, I'm just going to catch up on the chat. Maggie's late. Maggie is fine. We're talking about are prions worse than viruses, and we've just started talking about mad cow disease, which is caused by prions and causes cows to go mad. So we're just starting to talk about what prions are. Yeah, if you are joining late, then welcome. This is an Aim High Live. This one is a science one, and so I'm talking about are prions worse than viruses. You can check out the calendar here to find out all the other ones that are going on, because there are loads of other ones going on. If you're watching on Facebook, then you won't see everyone else's messages because for some reason they don't go through to Facebook. So come to the website if you want to see them all. And what was the other thing I was thinking? Oh yeah, if you're watching on my YouTube, then you can't. You can only watch mine on my YouTube. Okay, so what do people think is? I can't actually. Loads of replies have come in from people saying virus, but I can't remember which one I said was. I think I asked which is smaller. I asked which is smaller, right? Oh no, I asked which is bigger because someone said virus is def bigger. Maddie has just said, if we killed humans at the same rate as we slaughter animals, the human race would be gone in 17 days. That sounds like a reason. I haven't done the maths on that myself, but it sounds like a reasonable statistic. I mean, we currently kill like 100 million sharks in a single year, so that's just sharks. Okay, so people are saying that viruses are bigger, and Maddie wants a gold star. Yeah, mate, have the gold star. Phoebe's also saying that there are more chickens than humans, which is definitely true. There are far more chickens on Earth than there are humans. And I was talking about this, I think it was last week, about how if you put all the land mammals in a pile, then the cow part of that pile would be far, far bigger than the human part of the pile. It'd be like 50% bigger or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, let's do a quick comparison. So let's get bacteria and viruses and prions, because they're all things that cause diseases. Now, first one, are they, well, size-wise, you guys already like summed it up really nicely. So obviously bacteria are these pretty big things. A virus would be really, really small, little thing that can attach itself to a living cell. And then a prion is absolutely tiny in comparison. It'd be far smaller than that dot. So yes, next thing, are they, so that's the size. Next thing is, oh wait, I can see that size is hidden actually. I need to move that a bit. Oh, whatever, I'll just move it. Okay, so size. Next thing, are they alive? So, are these things alive? What do you guys think? A bacteria, a virus, a prion, are they alive? The real Joe is saying, can you call me Maddie, not Joe? I will try to remember, but this problem is if your username is the real Joe, it's confusing. But yes, Maddie, I'll try. Wait, Jeff has said a good fact, apparently. Oh, Jeff is saying that there are 3 times more sheep in Australia than humans. Okay, great. So answers coming in really well. So bacteria are, we think of them as alive because they're a living cell that reproduces itself and feeds and kind of swims around and is kind of just like a single-celled version of us in some ways. A virus we generally say is not alive because a virus is unable to replicate itself. It's literally just a packet of information, of instructions of make more of me, and the process of making more of itself is highly destructive, which is kind of really depressing when you think about it as a thing, because you know if a virus causes an illness, it's not really benefiting itself because it's not alive. It's not alive to benefit from it. And then finally, a prion is literally just a tiny little piece of protein, far smaller than a virus, and so we definitely wouldn't classify it as alive. Which is why it's even more depressing that it's that it's such a destructive thing. Okay, so what are some things that you can kill these with? Like how do you kill a bacteria and how do you kill a virus? And does anyone know how you kill a prion? Oh, Catherine's also saying that she loves the website improvement. Thanks. Someone. Okay, fine. While you guys are answering this question, I'll gentrify this bacteria by adding a top hat and a monocle to it. You can have those eyes at the front, and you can have some little boots at the back. Okay, get out of the freezer saying you can kill a virus by injecting yourself with disinfectant, which is, I don't know if anyone saw this, but that was what President Trump was suggesting to the general public, was that viruses could be killed by injecting yourself with disinfectant, which is totally mad. Bot blames taking a saying kill a bacteria with the power of everlasting friendship. Great answer. Okay, so yeah, bacteria and viruses, both these things can be killed by white blood cells inside the body, and they can be killed by and then there are certain disinfectant chemicals that can kill both of them. And you can also destroy both of them with high temperatures. And inside the body, bacteria can be killed with antibiotics. Remember, antibiotics cannot kill viruses. That is a classic misconception, that people think you can take antibiotics to kill a virus, but you can't. Antibiotic means antibacteria. So yeah, antibiotics will kill viruses, but only inside the body. Antibiotics will kill bacteria, but only inside the body. But prions, so someone already said this, are really, really difficult to kill. I'm going to say kill because they're not alive. But with a prion, the only way that we really know to destroy them is very high temperature and some really, really strong alkali like sodium hydroxide combined together. So you need to like boil it in sodium hydroxide. Right, so what is this mad thing? It is, I kind of want to explain to you how it works, but before I do, I just want to show you this tribe of people. This tribe is called the Four tribe, and they live in not Papua New Guinea. They live in New Guinea. I was getting confused. This is the Four people, and they live in New Guinea. Can anyone tell me what the Four people might have to do with prions? What do the Four people have to do with prions? And Phoebe is saying that white blood cells fight the virus within your body. That's right. So white blood cells will fight off bacteria and viruses. But if you get a prion-based disease, your white blood cells will not be able to deal with it. Okay, Jeff is saying, so there's a few people talking about them eating brains, but Japan Maple is also saying they're good at killing prions. So it's not that they're good at killing prions, but a lot of the Four people have developed quite a strong resistance to prion diseases. So a lot of their biology means that they go unaffected by prion diseases. because basically because there's a way that the proteins in your body can form a resistance to them. But the reason why the four people are so interesting with prion diseases is because, as I said to you before, and when we were looking at mad cow disease, prion diseases will create holes in the brains and spinal cords of these cows that have gone mad, and it's the prions that are causing this. So prions cause the nervous system to be destroyed. Now, the way that this spreads is if another animal then takes on a large amount of prions, and the best way to do this would be by eating the nervous system of that animal. Now, the four people believe that in order for their loved ones to reach the afterlife, once they die, they have to cook them and eat them. So the four people strongly believe in this form of ritual cannibalism, but they don't kill people to eat them, but they do it with their loved ones after they've died, and they try to eat everything. I can't remember how to spell cannibalism. I'm so bad at spelling, something like that. Anyway, yeah. So the four people will eat one another's brains after death, and this is why once prion diseases arrived in the four people community, they spread like wildfire, because as soon as one person dies from this disease, all of their loved ones will eat them, and therefore eat the spinal cord and the brains of these people, and then they will all get the same disease, and then the prions will multiply in them as well, and then more people will eat them, and so on, and so it spreads very, very rapidly. So Bot Plays was taken is asking, can prions cross the blood-brain barrier? And yes, they can. So let's talk about how prions work. There we go. Sorry, I'm just reading bits of chat. There's so much coming in. It's quite difficult to keep up with. But also, just a very quick thing to anyone who came really, really late. This is an Aim High Live, so if you want to see what's coming up next, check out here for the calendar. This is the science one, but there are other people doing philosophy, English, geography, all kinds of things. Okay, so now let's move away from those guys and let's go to this sheep, and let's talk about how prion diseases actually work. So, another form of prion disease that's very common in animals is called scrapie. And again, I didn't put up a picture of scrapie in sheep because it's really distressing to see. But it's basically sheep that kind of obsessively rub the back half of their body, and they scrape off loads of their own wool, and they scrape off their own skin, and it's all part of descending into total madness as their brains are also destroyed by these things called prions. Prions are so scary because they're not alive. They're not alive. They have no reason to do what they're doing, and yet they do it anyway. This is what they do. So your body is full of proteins arranged in kind of fiber forms, and one of those fibrous forms is called the alpha helix. And I'm just going to label it with, it's not quite like DNA, but it kind of runs in a helix. In fact, let's do it as more of its own helix like that. And let's just call it alpha or A. So that's just the Greek letter for A. And this alpha helix is super soft and flexible. And what happens is a little prion just comes and sits itself next to the alpha helix. And what do you think happens? What happens if you have this prion? Now, not all prions are bad, but when you get a bad prion, it will create more of itself. Let's see if anyone knows what will happen as the prion comes near to this nice soft alpha helix of protein in your body. Phoebe's saying that this sheep looks like one of those mop dogs. Yeah. You could use the sheep as a mop, I guess. I once found a sheep like this that was just kind of upside down in a field with its legs up, really, really stuck. And it was so wet as well because its wool got so full of water that it couldn't right itself over. So I had to help it get the right way up again. Okay, so Zoxy Harley actually knows the correct is spot on, yeah. So it flips it into something called a beta sheet, which is a much tougher form of protein. And so the prion flips this nice soft alpha helix into another kind of structure called a beta sheet. So I'll just label that with a B. So this is a Greek A and this is a Greek B, alpha, beta. So the prion simply approaches the proteins in your body, the nice soft ones, and turns them into much tougher, harder proteins. And as it does so, it releases a load more prions. And these prions will then go to the next part of your body, take a bit of nice soft protein, turn it into some tough beta-pleated sheet. And as they do so, they will gradually destroy the entire of your nervous system as you start to go completely mad. Now, the world expert on prion disease, when they was really taking off in cows, so mad cow disease, said that there was no way that they could possibly jump to humans. And yet, they did. And so lots of people developed a disease called CJD, which was really, really like mad cow disease. And it became, and people became terrified of eating cows and sheep, which in many ways was potentially a good thing because they're such polluting meats. And yeah, it kind of continued to get worse for a while because it was spreading a lot amongst cows. Does anyone know why mad cow disease was spreading so quickly amongst cows? It was spreading all over the world, and particularly in factory farms. Why was mad cow disease spreading so rapidly in factory farms? So someone's saying it's carried by flies. It's not that it was carried by flies. And Japan Maple is saying, once the prions infect something, can you stop them? And no, so no one has any way to cure prion diseases. They just accelerate their destruction of the proteins in your body. Okay, Nihal is saying, is it because the cows were close together? And Freedom Dow is spot on, saying that, is it because they fed the cows the byproduct of cows? So once the cows were slaughtered, the thinking was a lot of this meat and bones and things is not going to be sold because we only sell the bits that people want, and so let's grind it all up. It's made of cow, and then feed it back to cows. And so there was this effect where parts of cow were being fed back to cows, and so just like the tribe in New Guinea, where they're eating their own kind and eating their nervous systems, the prions get recycled round and round and round, and so mad cow disease started to spread like wildfire. Anyway, so that is the story of prions, and the question is are they worse than viruses? Well, what do you think? I would say probably so, because yeah, there's not really a cure for them. Although they develop very very kind of unexpectedly, and it's difficult to detect the fact that they are developing. Although on the plus side, some people are completely immune to these prion diseases because of the proteins in their body. Right, well, that's it. Sorry, that was me talking quite a lot, actually, for this one. Normally I ask a lot more questions. So I will just ask one last question, which is this. What is this fish? Does anyone know where the fish is from? What is this fish? Because this fish tells an interesting story about overfishing in the ocean. What is this fish? But while people are answering that, I'm just going to quickly catch up on the chat to see what people have said. But also, thanks so much for coming. This has been an Aim High Live. This one was on our prions worse than viruses. So thanks so much for coming and asking questions. And in fact, let me put up what's coming up next. Here's what's coming up next. Phil later today is going to do our advertising execs, the great poets of our age, and I'm going to do like a high school physics one tomorrow. I'm going to keep going on electricity, and then next week there's these ones coming up as well. So do come along for those, and do sign up for updates on the website, and do also follow our social media at Aim High Live, and tell your friends about us, so that we can keep spreading the word about this positive thing that we are trying to do during the lockdown. And remember, my name is Maddie. Okay, I will. Okay, Miz is saying, is the fish a prion? Plot twist. It's not a sardine, although that is a great answer, because sardines are quite shiny, aren't they? No, this one is called a lanternfish. And lanternfish make up some ridiculous proportion of all the life in the ocean. I've forgotten how much it is, but it's something absolutely mad, like 50% of the fish mass in the ocean is made up of lanternfish or something. Anyway, these fish spend most of their times in the very deep oceans, completely out of range of most of industrial fishing. And so lanternfish population have been really unaffected by modern fishing, and so they're one of the kind of hopes of the ocean in terms of a stronghold of life where it might be able to recover itself if we stop extracting so much from the ocean so rapidly. And in fact, if anyone follows my Instagram, you'll see that I posted a link to a story that was published about how the oceans could almost completely recover in only 30 years if we stopped overfishing them, stopped pumping loads of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and destroying all the coral. And so I just wanted to say that there is hope for the oceans, in case anyone is thinking that things can't be turned around. They certainly can. So yeah, thanks all for coming. I'm going to just check out any last comments in the chat, and I shall see you all tomorrow if you're coming to my physics high school one, and on Monday for Should We All Be Vegan? Right, okay, so Maddie is saying, will you carry on after coronavirus? I like aim high. I think we are going to carry on after coronavirus. Yeah, that is the plan. And what other questions came in? Guys, I felt like the regulars on this should form a group. How do you... Okay, Jacob is asking if it's a great white shark. Baby, no. I think, actually, maybe I've missed any questions, or maybe there have just been so many things pouring in towards the end. So yes, I shall just say goodbye there. Thanks so much for coming, everyone. I will see you all tomorrow or on Monday, and do come along to Phil's later on today if you're still around. All right, farewell, ciao.